So in 2022, after 3.5 years of building Tachyon, investing in more than 65 companies who've collectively raised north of 100 million at 600 million in total valuations, we had this insight that we thought there was a better way to build an accelerator to help accelerate companies, an ecosystem that was built by founders for founders. And the big insight was, time and time again, I saw that even 15 minutes with the right person in my network could literally change the trajectory of a company and of a founder. And I've seen it play out so many times. And we thought, is there a way that we could engineer that? Something that we like to call or refer to as engineering moments of serendipity. Hi, I'm Gabriel Anderson, founder and managing partner of Graph Paper Capital. Graph Paper Capital, we're a Web3 accelerator and networked ecosystem. We look for the most ambitious founders and builders that are building in Web3. We give them capital, access, and insights through a 12-week accelerator program. Myself and the core team, we left in the end of 2022 to launch Graph Paper Capital. And one of the big things about Graph Paper Capital that we wanted to do that was unique is we had this idea of building a product, a network that sits on top of the accelerator. So we invited 85 people that I knew, previous founders, domain experts, legal experts, investors, just people that I know are high value to early stage founders at that pre-seed seed stage within crypto and Web3. And we invited them to join our network. So what we ended up doing is we carved off 20% of our fund economics to pass back to our network members. But one of the unique things that we did is we were hugely inspired by the Optimism team and seeing what they did with retroactive public goods funding. So the mechanism that our network earns carry in these startups is we look back, we ask the founders who was impactful, and the founders tell us, right? They tell us who made key investor introductions, who made key product or strategy insights, who made key business development connections. Because at every moment of a startup's life, there are two things that they need. They need access and they need insights. And we knew that if we could build this amazing network around these founders and then create this financial incentive using crypto primitives, we could really unlock a ton of value for our companies and for our founders. So that was the seed of the idea was kind of planted in 2022. We launched Graph Paper Capital officially at ETH Denver in 2023. I invited 86 people to join us as network venture partners. And at the conclusion of the first cohort, we asked our founders, we surveyed them at the end to tell us who was impactful. We ended up seeing 45 of our 84-ish venture partners being identified as high impact. So almost a 50% hit rate, a little more than a 50% hit rate. And so we knew we had something. We knew we were onto something. And so now we're scaling that. Eventually we want to tokenize this, V1 of this product. We don't give founders advice that we don't take ourselves, right? So our minimum viable version of this product was a NFT that we issued to these members. That NFT gives them access to our network community, our member boards, their contributions, et cetera. So in designing how the mechanism works, we actually reached out and worked closely with a team that was incubated in Protocol Labs originally called HyperCerts. And they were doing some really unique stuff around being able to wrap retroactive public good funding models inside of an NFT. We were hugely inspired by that. We were hugely inspired by what we saw around the Optimism team in terms of retroactive public goods funding. And so the way that the mechanism works is we use what's called a dual class evaluator. It's very simple. It's just kind of fancy language to say we have these founders, and we survey them at the conclusion of the program with a set of questions to try to figure out who within the network they worked closely with, who was valuable to them, how they were valuable to them, because we want that really rich metadata, right? Is this person really good at fundraising? Are they really good at business development? Are they really good at product strategy? Are they really good at legal? Are they really good at, the meta skill of just being able to eat a lot of shit as a founder? What is it that they're exceptional at? Because we want that data. And then the second evaluation is done by the core management team. So that's myself. We have 2 group partners and our head of fund operations. And so we get to kind of smooth out that evaluation by identifying people who are high value to the firm, the network, Graph Paper Capital. So we have this dual class evaluator, and that allows us to then retroactively issue carry based on the companies that they worked with over the course of that 12 weeks. And we kept it very simple. We have our fund administrators at AngelList. We found a lot of our venture partners when we were surveying them as we were building this product. A lot of them were already angel investors and they had their positions on AngelList. So again, same advice that we give founders, right? Like listen to your customers, listen to your users, and build something that delights them or solves a particular problem for them. And so in this case, we were able to issue all of that carry through AngelList, a platform that they were already comfortable using. but using these two really amazing primitives, hypercerts, and kind of this Optimism's retroactive public goods funding model. The vision or the mission of Graph Paper Capital, we believe in building a more open, fair, interoperable, user-owned and operated internet. I think the internet has been this massive thing of value that's created so much value in the world. We want to see it become more open, more fair, more user-owned and operated. And we believe that entrepreneurs are the best ones suited to build this new world that we want to live in. Yeah, so when talking to a founder, I'm really interested in how they came up with the idea. What do you know about the market that others don't know? Depending on what they say to me, I'm trying to get 3, 4, 5, 6 layers deep into how they came to that understanding. The great thing about a founder with an idea is they've obsessed about this idea for months, sometimes years. They've talked to a ton of people about it. They've tried to understand the nuances of it. They've tried to understand the complexities of this idea. And so as you're talking to a founder, as you're interviewing them, you're trying to understand, where did they come up with this idea? Where was the insight? Where did the insight originally come from? Oh, that's interesting. Tell me about that. So you were talking to this person, and what was the problem that they were encountering? And you're trying to get, it's like peeling back an onion. You're trying to get to like 6, 7, 8, 9 layers deep into how well they understand this particular problem, because then you know that they've actually done the work. But it usually starts with the founder that is just obsessed about this thing, and they can't stop thinking about it. They've crawled through all the nooks and crannies of understanding the complexities of this particular idea. Outside of the idea, tell me about your life, right? Tell me about challenges that you've had in the past. Tell me about things that you've had to overcome in order to get to where you are. I mean, everybody has a story, but what you're looking for is somebody who they're just going to persist no matter what. Yeah, so we are hyper focused on Web3, and so we think of Web3 and Web2 kind of as this spectrum. And so in terms of the technologies that we look for where crypto is an unfair competitive advantage in this particular founder's business, whether that's their customer acquisition strategy or their go-to-market strategy or their business model or their governance system. So for example, like having been a founder in Web2, we'd spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars once we had product market fit, spending money on ad platforms like Facebook or Instagram, or I guess maybe YouTube or TikTok these days. But if a founder can get into market by issuing tokens and making their users also owners of the protocol and creating this natural viral effect, then that has a huge implication on how viral that product can go and how quickly it can grow based on more users telling more users, and hey, check out this project, and they issued us tokens, and this is kind of cool, you should check this out. And we think less about crypto from the speculative sense, and we think more of it from the core fundamentals of how do these projects get product market fit, where crypto technologies give them an unfair competitive advantage. All great founders have this thing where they feel like an outsider. It's the idea of, I think the world is broken or misfunctioning in some way, and I think I have a vision or a version of the world that could be a lot better with my idea. That takes a bit of a chip on your shoulder. It takes a bit of a bit of an attitude to try to bring that into the world. Nobody wants your shitty thing. Nobody cares about your thing, right? Nobody's asking for your particular thing at any moment in time. In a lot of cases, you're trying to birth this thing into existence because you think that the world is missing what you are trying to build. So I think it takes sometimes people who have a bit of a rough upbringing or a chip on their shoulder in order to bring that into existence. Those are my favorite entrepreneurs, have chips on their shoulders. But I mean, you look at all great founders. I mean, love him or hate him, Elon Musk probably has a big ass chip on his shoulder. Andreessen Horowitz probably has a big old chip on his shoulder. I would say Juan Benet has a chip on his shoulder, right? You have to see the world in a certain way, in a certain light, and have the audacity to say that, I'm going to build this thing and create it and bring it into existence. And that just takes some chutzpah. The common threads that have run through my life have always seemed to be something around this interest in understanding of money, how money works, the technology of money, the fascination of money, probably growing up as a kid who didn't have a lot of money. I've always been fascinated with technology and innovation. I think I started reading TechCrunch at a very young age and was really inspired by, some of the titans of Silicon Valley and what they were doing, and wanted to build my own technology companies. I grew up in a lower middle income family, and entrepreneurship was just my way to wrestle back control of my circumstances in my life and to be able to create value. And so I love founders, I love entrepreneurship, I love building companies. It's just who I am. I got into entrepreneurship very early, but I didn't have any of the resources. I didn't have access to money. I didn't know how to get to Silicon Valley. I didn't have connections. In the early days of my entrepreneurship journey, I had a lot of doors that were closed, what felt like doors closed on me. And I had to figure out how to be scrappy and hustle and have grit and persevere and continue to push through. I want to help founders and builders build great, amazing companies that can have a huge impact in the world. And I think there's no better place to be than within the Web3 landscape of trying to do that.